Hey, good evening, everybody. You might have seen in the news, there's some new archives opened up from the Vatican and found that Pope Pius XII knew more about what was going on during the Holocaust than we even thought of before, and knew it earlier on. Already in 1942, he was getting full reports of Jews being killed and mass murders all around in Europe, and still didn't say anything. His people told him that the numbers are exaggerated, and so on. And but he just ignored it and didn't say anything about it. And I think looking back historically, although he himself was not responsible for directly killing anyone, I think we'll all agree that he is not a good person. Maybe we'd even call him an evil person, responsible because he could have done something about it, and he didn't. And so I think that's a good example of what the Talmud is discussing right now, which is not an active sin, but not a sin of commission, but a sin of omission, when someone could have done something about it and didn't do it. So that's the major topic of this page, which we'll start off with. We'll go into a fascinating Agadah about Sadiq Vadalo and why righteous people suffer, and then Reuven, and discuss Reuven's sin, did he sin or not? And then Bnei Ali, whether they sinned or not. And actually it'll come back to the theme of a sin of omission back together. So it's really a beautiful structure to the sugya. Okay, let's go right into it. And you can all see the current Talmud on your screen? No, you cannot. Okay, now you can. Yeah?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, great. So, we were talking about, the Mishnah had mentioned a story about Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who had a cow, and his cow, he put a rope through it in order to secure it, and he went out like that on Shabbat, which is not allowed, and the sages complained about that. And then the Talmud said, how could such a great sage do it? First of all, he had only one cow, and how could he do such a thing? They said, no, they got the story wrong. His neighbor had a cow that went out on Shabbat improperly, and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah did not rebuke him sufficiently. And that's what is sin. Even though he didn't do it himself, the Mishnah attributes it to him, that it was his problem. Side tangent, there are some who explain the story that's not talking about his cow, even though it says his cow, but rather his wife. But I'm not going to get into that, because last time I called my wife a cow, it was big trouble. All right, so we'll leave that for another time. But now back to the story. Now, Rav Papa, this is just right before the page starts, says that Resh Galuta, who is the head of the Jewish community in exile, in Babel, the exilarch, he's responsible for everything that happens in the community because he is in charge. And the pasuk says that Hashem is going to make mishpat with the zikanim, with those in charge. Even though the zikanim themselves, even if they didn't sin, but they could have done something to inspire and stop other people from sinning, so they are responsible. And then we have a short story about Rav Yehuda in front of Shemuel. I'm just reminding ourselves. A woman came and was complaining to Shemuel and kept complaining about asking some questions. Shemuel ignored her. Rav Yehuda says, aren't you afraid from not ignoring this poor woman? The pasuk says that if you don't listen to the cries of someone in need, then you will be in need of yourself. And so he said, yeah, you're right. Maybe I'll be punished in cold water, but I'm not the one in charge of the betin. It's the Resh Galuta. He's the one in charge, and he'll be punished in hot water, right? He's the one really in hot water. So showing again that the more responsible one is, the more severe is the punishment for not taking care of problems that need taken care of. And we learn this from the pasuk from Yirmiyah that says, "Dichtiv bet David, ko amar Adonai, dinu laboker mishpat, v'atzilu gazul miyad oshek, pen tesecha esh chamati, u'ba'ara ve'en mechabe, mipnei roa ma'al lechem." And so go and save and help out the people. He's talking to the house of David, to the Davidic dynasty, the leaders, the kings. They are the ones that will be held responsible for not taking care of the poor and the needy. And now we get to a new story. Amar le Rabbi Zera le Rabbi Simon. This is Rabbi Simon, is the same as Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi. He's called Simon. That's a Greek version of his name. Simon is what they called him. So the student Rabbi Zera tells Rabbi Simon, you should go and rebuke the leaders, the house of the Resh Galuta, because whatever they're doing, they're not doing a proper leadership job. I'm not going to bother rebuking them. They're not going to accept what I say anyway. I mean, this is the number one excuse. We all see lots of things going wrong. Who are they going to listen to me? So we don't bother protesting. And he said, no, even if they don't listen to you, be on the record. Still go and rebuke them. Why? חוץ מדבר זה, תכתיב, ויאמר השם אליו, עבור בתוך העיר, בתוך ירושלים, מביא תו על מצחות האנשים הנאנחים ונאנקים על כל התועבות הנעשות בתוכה. And because Rabbi Chanina had a statement, he said, Hashem, a prophecy was never revoked, but when it was something good, except for this. We all know this famous principle because Rambam made it famous, that any prophecy, negative prophecy, can always be changed because people can make teshuvah. But once there's a positive prophecy, then that will never be changed. You all learned that before? Sound familiar? Right, and this is one of the proofs. How do you prove that a prophet is true? That any good prophecy, he says, always comes true. However, this is an exception, okay? An exception to every rule. And this is a story that's found in Yechezkel, chapter 9. And the Talmud's going to quote it at length. So I think it's worth looking at inside. It's a short story. It talks about 6 people who are coming from the northern gate. Then each one has a club in his hand. Okay, they're coming to cause destruction upon Jerusalem. And they're all dressed up in linen. And then there's one person who has linen, and he has some writing utensils. Okay? So 6 people with weapons, and yet another one with writing something, and they come to Etzel Mizbach HaNechoshet. Mizbach HaNechoshet, that's the big altar where they sacrificed animals. וכבוד אלוקי ישראל נעלה מעל הקירוב אשר היה עליו אל מפתן הבית, ויקרא אל האיש לבוש הבדים אשר כסת הסופר במותניו. And God's presence, perhaps a cloud, moves from the Kiruvim in the Kodesh Kodeshim to where they are, and he calls out to the person who's wearing linen and has the writing tablet, and he tells him, "Avod betoch ha'ir betoch Yerushalayim midvita tava mitzchot anashim v'nanachim v'nadakim kol te'avot ha'na'asot betocha." He says, "Go out and make a mark, make a letter taf." In those days, it wouldn't look like a taf. In Ketav Ivri, taf looks like a mark, like a plus sign, right? Like a lowercase t. Lowercase t comes from the Ketav Ivri, right? Same shape. And put a mark on the people that are in trouble, who are being persecuted, because they are the righteous people, and they will be saved. And so when the mark is there, then when the destruction happens, they will be protected from it. To the other 6 who were the warriors, he said, go into the city and strike all without compassion. Here's the key words. Right? You're going to kill off everyone, young and old, except the people who have the taf on their forehead. And start mikdashi, start from the Bet HaMikdash. In other words, in the Peshat here, it sounds like the greatest sinners are the leaders. This makes sense. In other places in Yechezkel, he says, I went and I saw 70 elders in the Bet HaMikdash who were doing ketoret to Avodah Zarah, right? This was a time when Avodah Zarah was rampant, and the leaders were the worst of them. They were leading the people to do bad, and that's why the punishments should start with them. They're elders, but that doesn't mean that they were actually wise. And that's what happened. Okay, and that's what we need to know from this very interesting story. There's actually a picture of this story in the Dura Europa synagogue. this is it. This is the destroyer, and this is the Mizbeach here in the middle. So that's an ancient synagogue in Syria that has a depiction of this. Okay, good. Now we have the background to figure out, understand our Talmud. So we're learning from this that the leaders are the most responsible, and this is actually a pretty good source to learn that from. Okay, so we quote that pasuk, and then this is Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu leGavriel. They're naming one of the. They're naming the angel that's doing the writing. That's Gavriel. Right? With ink, right on the foreheads of the righteous people, so that nothing bad will happen to them. And and add with blood, write a T on the wicked people. This is not found in the Pshat in the Pesukim, as you just saw. Over there, it sounds like only the righteous people get a tav. But here it's adding another one. I mean, there is a plural later that makes it sound like, and so what you have here is you have absolutely righteous that will be saved, absolutely wicked that will be killed, and the people in the middle, and we're not sure. What's the difference that some you're writing with ink and some with blood? These are purely good and these are purely evil. However, then the attribute of justice, midat hadin, right? This is like the attorney general. Okay, he's one of the cabinet members in God's council that's making sure that the law is upheld. And he's saying, hold on, I don't know if these tzaddikim can be held scot-free. Even though they didn't sin, they could have helped out. They could have protested the actions of the evil people, and they didn't. They sat by smugly. God says, listen, I know everything. I know what people are thinking. I know the future, and I know that even if they did protest, the evil people would not have listened to them. And therefore, it's okay. It doesn't matter that they didn't protest, because it wouldn't have helped in any case. Okay, the Midat Hadin has a fantastic comeback. It says, you knew that it wouldn't work, but they didn't know, the Tzaddikim didn't know that it wasn't going to work, right? And so they should have tried. Who knows, maybe if you're convincing enough, right, to find a way to get your message across, and it could have happened. And so what do you see from here? That the Tzaddikim, these Tzaddikim now will be punished. And so now it says, he changes his mind. This is not in Peshat, but according to this Midrashic reading, God changes his mind and said, you know what, those people with the ink T on them that I said were Tzaddikim, now they don't get saved anymore. In fact, you're going to start the killing with them. It says Mikdashi Tachelu. It says Vayachelu b'anashim hazikenim asher lifnei habayit. The same word Vayachelu, it says in a different pasuk. It starts with the zikenim. We're assuming the zikenim are righteous, because usually zikenim are righteous. But then here it says Taneh Rav Yosef Al tikre mikdashi ela mekudashi. Not start from the Bet HaMikdash, but start from the holy ones. Elu b'nei adam shekimu et haTorah kula me'alef v'ad tav. People who followed every single mitzvah from A to Z, they were punctilious in their mitzvot. They get the punishment first. הנה שישה אנשים באים מדרך שער העליון, השם לפני הצפון, ואיש כלים הפסו בידו, שעל בתוכם לבוש הבדים מכסף מסופי במותניו, ויבואו ועמדו אצל מזבח הנחושת. And so now the warriors come, and they will destroy those elders first, who were completely righteous. They never did any sin of commission in their lives, but they did do a sin of omission, that they didn't help out. They didn't stop people when they could have, and so they get killed. So it's very interesting how the Talmud quotes these Pesukim. If you notice, Pesukim are quoted out of order. The Midrash is rearranging and filling in gaps and repetitions in the story, and teaching this very important lesson. A side point that asks, Mizbach HaNechoshet mi hava? Was there a bronze altar anymore? What do you mean they stood by the bronze altar? We thought that it was already gone. This is in fact true in Pasuk in in Melachim, when King Shlomo built the Bet HaMikdash, it says that he had the Mizbach HaZahav, the one that was made in the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, Mizbach HaNechoshet, but he deemed it too small. He wanted to bring lots and lots of animal sacrifices. He wanted something bigger and grander, and so he put that one away in storage and created his own out of stone. Right? Can you imagine such a thing? Right? And this episode is something about King Shlomo's priorities. What they meant is the place where the Leviim play their instruments on the steps, which is right near where the Mizbach HaNechoshet would have been. Who are these 6 warriors that went and did and wrought this punishment? It sounds like they are the personifications of these terrible these terrible traits of fury, wrath, rage, destroyer, breaker, annihilator. They're the ones that went out and did this destruction. Okay.
Where are they getting this influence that they're calling these destroyers or these men by these personifications, the Kesef, Af, Haima? It doesn't feel very Hebrew Bible.
I was thinking about also, first the Midrash always likes to give names to anonymous figures, but these aren't names of people that we know, so it doesn't really help. I was wondering, I was connecting this with the Greek fates, right? Is that what you were thinking? There's only 3 fates though, not 6. So I'm not sure if this is what, might be somewhere in the background.
There's an influence there, not necessarily copying, but.
Yeah, okay. Did the fates have names? Lauren, do you know? All right, we'll look it up later.
Could it be like in the Christian apocalypse, the four messengers of the apocalypse?
I don't know them.
Like war,
cool.
Famine, something.
Right. All right, good. There's definitely something more here, but unfortunately not for Daf Yomi. We can only raise questions, not give all the answers. Okay. Why the letter Taf that they put on there? Amarav Tav Tichyeh, Tav Tamut. Tav stands for both they will live and they will die. Well, any nekeva verb in the future is going to start with the Taf, but these 2 included. Shemuel Amar Tama Zechut Avot. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Tachon Zechut Avot. It could stand for the protection of the patriarchs is gone, stopped, and that's why the righteous will die. Others say, no, we'll protect them, and that's why they will live. So it can both stand for live and die. Resh Lakish Amar Tav Sof Chotamo Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu Amar Chanina Chotamo Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu Emet. This is the end of God's signature. It's just the initials. God's signature is Emet. That's found in another long story. Amar Rabbi Shemuel ben Nachmani, Elu bnei Adam shekiyamu et haTorah kula me'alef ad tav, which we already saw above, right? Tav is there to say that these are 100% righteous people that fulfilled all of the mitzvah. This is probably the original place, and it was transferred in the middle of the story to explain it. Okay. Now we're a tangent to a tangent. We had the original story from Yechezkel, and now we asked why a Taf. And now one of the answers of why there's a Taf is because Zechut Avot stopped and won't protect the wicked people, not even the righteous people in this case. So wait, well, hold on. You just said there's no more Zechut Avot. This is not good. What do you mean by that? Amara, when did it stop? Amara bimot Hosea ben Be'eri, the prophet Hosea, who lived in 700s BCE. That's going to stop because he says, Amara galet nabluta le'anema ve'ish lo yasirena miyadi. Because I'm going to give punishment and no man will be able to save them. No one, meaning not even Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov will be able to save them, right? Only Hashem. So there you see that there's no Zechut Avot. That's the first opinion. Shemuel argues with his colleague. He says, no, Bimeh Chazael. Chazael is Shene'emar v'Chazael melech Aram lachas Yitzchak kol yemei Yehoachaz. He was the king of Aram. This is earlier than Hosea. This is in the late 9th century, 800 and something. And he was, it says regarding him, Vayachon Hashem otam, Arachamim Vayifen alehem leman berito, et Abraham, et Yitzchak v'Yaakov, velo abba hashchitam, velo hishlicha me'al panav ad ata. So here it says, Hashem protected them because of Zechut Avot, and didn't cast them away until this time. But it sounds like only until this time, and from now on, there will not be any Zechut Avot anymore. So this is the last time that it's mentioned. Okay, I wonder if we do a word search, if this is in fact the last time that it's mentioned in Tanakh. That would be interesting. I imagine not. It's got to be somewhere in Ketuvim too. But all right. Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi Amar, Mimei Eliyahu, שנאמר, ויהי בעלות המנחה ויגש אל הנביא ויאמר, השם אלוקי אברהם אל יצחק וישראל, היום יוודע כי אתה אלוהים בישראל, אני עבדך ובדברך עשיתי את כל הדברים האלה. This is now even earlier. Eliyahu Navi was living earlier in the 9th century, and he calls on Zechut Avot, and he says, Hayom yivada, today it will be known, but only today and not afterwards. Will the God of Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov help? In other words, from then on, it will be, we're on our own. Hashem can help us, but not because of Zechut Avot. And the last opinion, Rabbi Yochanan Amar Mimei Chizkiyahu. Okay, before we're going backwards, right? Chronologically, and now this is the latest one. Chizkiyahu is much later, in the 600 area. I said, Mechizkiyahu shene'emar lemarbe hamisra u'shalom en ketz al kiseh David v'mamlachto lachin ota lesa'ada b'mishpat u'bistaka me'ata ve'ad olam kinat Hashem sevot ta'aseh zot. And so here he's emphasizing the zeal of God will perform this, will perform good things, and says only because of the God's zeal will it happen, and not because of the merit of their fathers. Okay, so that's the end of that discussion. It still didn't really explain, what do you mean those Zechut Avot? Don't we still have in our tefillah all the time, we're asking for Zechut Avot? So Tosafot asked that question here, and says, although there's no Zechut Avot, there's still Zechut of the Berit. In other words, God gave promises to the Avot, and those promises still hold true, and we can call upon Hashem to fulfill the promises. But the individual merit of the forefathers, that bank account has long ago been drawn down. Okay, very interesting. Now, this is one of my favorite agadot in the whole Talmud Bavli, and I'll show you why. Amar Rav Ami. It's a different topic now. It's only slightly related to what we just said, but we'll circle back. Rav Ami says, "En mita belo chet ve'en yisurin belo avon." He says a general principle in the world: no one dies without sin, not because of sin. Right? Anyone who dies in the world, whether young or old, it's because they deserve it. Got that? And there is no yisurin. No one suffers in the world unless they deserve it. All suffering and even all death is deserved because of a sin that the person made. Okay, wow, that's some statement. He's justifying God's actions. Everything works with absolute justice. He fits with like the friends of Eov that said, oh, you're suffering, you must deserve it. This is like the classical theology. Now, the Talmud is going to discuss this statement of Rav Ameh. En mila belochet, first of all, proof for it. דכתיב הנפש החוטאת היא תמות, בן לא יישא בעווניו, ובאב לא יישא בעוון הבן, צדקת הצדיק עליו תהיה, ורשעת הרשע עליו תהיה. Quoting pasuk from Yechezkel Yudchet, very famous chapter, that says everyone dies for his own sin, not because of the sins of the fathers. Oh, this is a connection with what we just said, because he says, sons won't die because of the fathers, and they won't get good because of the good of the fathers. Everyone is responsible for their own sin. Okay, that's a proof from Yechezkel for the Rav Ameh's statement. And how do we know en yisurin belo avon? Dichtivu fakadati b'shevet pisham o b'negaim avonam. I will punish them for their sins. So therefore, the pasuk doesn't say all punishment, but we're deriving that all punishment happens and all suffering happens because of sin. Okay, good. Now we turn the page, and now we ask a series of questions on this. Is this really true? אמרו מלאכי השרת לפני הקדוש ברוך הוא, ריבונו של עולם, מפני מה כנסת מיתה על אדם הראשון? the angel said, why did you give the death penalty to Adam? Amar lahem mitzvah kala sivitiv. I give them one simple mitzvah, just don't eat from this tree, and they violated it, so he deserves it. Says, hold on, if that's the reason Moshe and Aaron, they never sinned at all. They fulfilled everything, and yet they died. So if you're saying they're challenging Hashem, why? If sin is if death is because of sin, why did they die? And an amazing answer, quoting a kind of a surprising pasuk from Kohelet, that says, there's one fate goes to all, both righteous and wicked. In other words, Moshe and Aaron were completely righteous, and yet they died, and this disproves Rav Ami, right? Because here we have example of two people that died even though they never sinned. So we have a disproof. What we're going to say about Ami, this was the majority opinion here in Braita number 1, but Braita number 2 has a minority opinion. The Tana Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar omer af Moshe v'Aaron b'chatam metu. She'amar ya'anu lo ementam bi. Ha'ementam bi, adan lo hagi'a zamanechem lipater min ha'olam. He thinks that Moshe and Aaron did sin, and they deserved it, and if they would have lived otherwise, and the pasuk says, right, because you sinned, that's why it's time for you to die. So Rav Ami has a source. There's another opinion out there that Rav Ami could follow Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, that even they sin, so there is nobody completely righteous. Now we ask a question about that. A third baraita about this says 4 people died because of the sting of the serpent. In other words, they died only because of original so-called original sin, and not because of anything bad that they themselves personally did, only because of the decree for all humankind. So they were perfectly righteous. Who are they? Benjamin ben Yaakov, Amram avi Moshe, Ishai avi David, Bechilav ben David. V'chulu Gemara. All of them are based on Torah Shebaal Peh. Doesn't say this explicitly. Well, Binyamin, you can figure out why, because he wasn't with the brothers when they sold Yosef. Everybody else did. But anyway, the only one that is explicit, it's not really explicit, it takes a lot of midrash, is Yishai avi David, David's father. D'mefresh be'kera, dichtib, et amasa sam Avshalom tachat Yoav, sar savav, amasa ben ish, ushmo Yitra Israeli, asher ba el Abigail bat Nachash achot Tzeruya, em Yoav. In Shemuel, it tells us that there was a woman named Abigail who was the daughter of Nachash, and they had a child. They had a daughter, Tzeruya. Okay, so you got that. We have Nachash is the man married to Abigail, and they have a daughter, Tzeruya. And hold on. What do you mean the daughter, was Bat Nachash Havai? Is Tzeruya really the daughter of Nachash? Was that his father? Allah, Bat Yishai, his father was Yishai, as we see in the Pasuk in Divrei Yamim. Achiotehen, Tzeruya v'Abigail. This mentions Yishai, all of his children, including David Amelech, and had a sister, 2 sisters, Tzeruya and Abigail. And so we see that Tzeruya is the daughter of Yishai, right? And so David's father's name is both Yishai and Nachash. Okay, so by putting these pasukim together, we see that this pasuk for some reason calls Yishai Nachash. Okay, so what is that? Why is that? Ela bat mishemet bet Yoshel Nachash. His real name was Yishai. It gives him a nickname, Nachash, because he was completely righteous and he died only because of the Nachash back in Sefer Bereshit. All right, that was explicit in the Torah. Okay, good. Now, now that was a side point. But getting back to this, we see that this lists 4 people who were completely righteous who didn't die for their sins, but only these 4. It's assuming only these 4, nobody else. Maneh, who is the author of this baraita? If it was the first opinion above that said everybody is righteous, Moshe and Aaron are also righteous, so fine. Then then you have Moshe and Aaron themselves were righteous and didn't and died because not because of their sins. So Elalav Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar he. Well, so rather this opinion, right? This opinion cannot follow the first one, because if the first opinion said Moshe and Aaron are righteous, and so if they're righteous, they should have been included. It shouldn't have said 4, it should have said 6 people. And so rather, the author of this must be the same as, must be Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar he. Ushma mina yesh mita belo chet, v'yesh yisurin belo avon. But what you find is, no matter who you say it is, there is someone who sinned, right? Either it's Moshe and Aaron, or it's other people, right? Either according to this opinion, Moshe and Aaron sinned. According to the other opinion, there are other people that sinned. But you can't have it all ways. There's no way to put together these 3 different baraitot according to any 1 or 2 opinions, and therefore that Ameh does not have, it has no proof, right? He has to follow either one opinion or the other, and he has to admit that someone died without sin, and based on that, Yesh mita, Shema mina yesh mita belo chet, v'yesh yisurin belo avon, v'tiyubta de Rab Ameh, tiyufta. And now we have completely rejected the Rabbi Ameh. When you say tiyufta de Rabbi Ameh tiyufta, that's a statement that's usually found in halachic sugyot, where you go through a long proof and you say a conclusive, absolute, right, rejection of someone. So what I really like about this Talmud is that when you go through it, you see that there are lots of steps that it skips. You could have easily made an argument some other way. You could have found and then you had a third opinion. Why does Rav Ami have to follow either of those 2? Why does this Baraita have to follow either of those 2? Why can't it be a third opinion? Yet the Talmud is using halachic logic reasoning in this very philosophical discussion, and I think it's driving home a point. Even though the majority opinion, the classical theology that the brothers, that the friends of Eov say is that yes, all sin, all death, and all punishment happens because of sin, but there is that minority opinion of Eov and of other sages, and what this Talmud is doing is saying, like, conclusively, Rav Ameh is wrong, and is putting it in like mathematical proof language, which is, I think, unusual to have an Agadah using this kind of halachic formulation. So I think this is a really fascinating theological point that it's saying that is different from the regular view that is usually found, and it's usually found in sources from Eretz Yisrael. In the Bavli, only in the Bavli does it pop up once in a while the other view that says sometimes people suffer not because they deserve it, and that raises other questions, but that'll be for different sugyot. Okay, that's the end of that story, and now we talk about Reuven. Amar Rabbi Shemuel bar Nachmani amar Rabbi Yonatan kol hamer Reuven chata eno ela to'eh shenemar b'bnei Yaakov shenem asar. If you say Reuven sinned, you are wrong. What's the proof that you're wrong? I'm going to show you the pasuk here. Here's the pasuk. Vayhi bishkon Yisrael ba'aretz hahi vayelech Reuven vayishka bet bilha pilegesh aviv vayishma Yisrael. So the simple reading is that Reuven slept with Bilhah, who was the concubine, the maidservant of Rachel. Reuven is, of course, from Leah. And usually in Tanakh and in the ancient world, when a son sleeps with a stepmother, it means he's trying to usurp power, right? He wants to be the next person in charge. And so this would be a terrible thing to do. And you can see the political motivations kind of being against Rachel. This is after Rachel died. But here's something interesting. We have a paragraph break. If you look in the Torah, you'll see it goes to the next paragraph. It's a parasha Petucha. And then it says, Vayu b'nei Yaakov shenem asar. Within a pasuk, it's very rare to have a paragraph break, even though the pasuk continues. And the rest of the pasuk says that Yaakov had 12 children. In other words, the point is, even after Reuven did this terrible thing, whatever it was, Yaakov still had 12 children. Reuven is not kicked out. And then it lists all the children. Okay, so that's the proof here that they are still one unit. and they're all equal. What about the first half of the pasuk? It says he slept with her. Didn't actually sleep with her. Rather, he moved the beds. He did not. After Rachel died, the story the Midrash goes, he set up his bed in Bilhah's tent, and his son, Leah's son, Reuven says, bad enough that my mother had to struggle with the favored wife Rachel all of her life. Now she's going to have to struggle with the maidservant Bilhah. That's no good. And so he switched the signs of the tents and said, here, Bella, go, Yaakov, time, go this way. And so that he would be with Leah and not Bilhah. But even though he only switched the signs, he only switched the beds, the pasuk makes it as if he actually slept with Bilhah.
So our Torah reading is based on this midrash. The way we actually where we put a period is based on the midrash, even though it would seem like there's this odd paragraph break in the middle of the pasuk.
Right. Yes. I mean, yes. And this, some of the, right. In other words, some of the formatting of the Masoretic text reflects the midrashic understanding.
I'm saying without the Masoretic, so the sof pasuk. Wouldn't it be
right? It would make sense to have a sof pasuk, right? If you put a sof pasuk, then it makes sense, and that would be a next paragraph.
And it
right?
flows with the rest of the next paragraph.
Okay, actually, so you're right. The paragraph break makes sense, right? Yeah. Your paragraph, and then and here they are. New paragraph. I'm giving you a list, right? By taking out the sof pasuk, you're saying it's hinting to the midrash. So that's right. The ta'amim are hinting to the midrash. They're not the natural break of the syntax. Okay, very good point. Tanya Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar omer musal oto sadik me'oto avon velo b'maaseh ze liyado. Now we have a braita that was said by a Amora. We have a braita that says he was saved from the sin. And in Devarim, this is one of the curses. And it says, there's 12 tribes on each one, and some of them say Arur, and his descendants say, cursed is the one who sleeps with his father's wife. And his, and their children of Reuben, are they going to curse their own great-great-grandfather? He was protecting the honor of his mother, as we just said. It's enough that my mother had to deal with the co-wife, but now should she have to deal with the co-wife who's the maidservant? Another opinion says it says Yitzu'eh, says it in plural. And so not only one, Achat shel Shekhinah v'Achat shel Aviv. Idea is that the Shekhinah itself rests where Yaakov lies, which makes sense. Remember when he sleeps and the dreams come and he says this is Bethel. So he's not dealing with this sin was not only a simple one against some family politics. This was also a sin ben adam lamakom. Not yitzui, but yitzuai. Okay, ketanaeh. Well, hold on. There's actually a machloket about this. I know you just brought a couple of opinions that says Reuben did not sin, but that's not everyone's opinion. Pachaz kamayim al totar. This is when Yaakov is dying. This is what he says about Reuven. They're called blessings, but not so positive here. He says, "You are unstable as water, and you will not increase." What it says when you read pachaz, kind of strange word. Read it as an acrostic. Peh stands for pasta, chet stands for chabta, zalta, which means you are unstable. Chabta as in chayav. You are chayav, zalta. You did something. That was terrible. So in other words, he sinned. Rabbi Yeshua says pasata al dat. Peh stands for you violated the law. Chet for hatata, you sinned. Zanita, you can't get more explicit than that. You violated illicit relations. Rabban Gamliel omer pilalta, you prayed. Halta, you were worried, you trembled. Zarchat tevilatcha, and your prayer shone forth. In other words, Rabban Gamliel says, yes, he did sin, but he made teshuvah. Okay, that's actually very interesting because there's lots of documents from the second Bet HaMikdash, like the Testament of Reuben, other things that we found in Dead Sea Scrolls that also follow this, that say he did the sin, but he made teshuvah, and that's why he's okay. Okay, but there is that opinion that said he did sin. Amar Rabban Gamliel, Adayin tzrichen al modai, Rabbi Elazar modai, Omer, hafoch et hateba v'dorsha. So Rabbi Elazar would read it backwards, not pachaz, but zachaf. And they said, Zizata, hirtata, parachta chet mimmecha. As you shook, you recoiled, and the sin flew away from you. In other words, he thought of making a sin, but he got scared at the last minute, and he didn't do it. The same thing, you remembered the terrible punishment, and you were afraid, and you didn't sin. And so that's these opinions that turn it backwards say, it's going to saying you sin, no, backwards, he didn't sin. Reuben, okay, so that's the story of Reuben. Okay. Now we have a siman, we have a mnemonic device. We're almost done here. Mnemonic device, remember they used to learn the whole Talmud by heart. So they use these mnemonic devices. Reuben, Bnei Eli, Bnei Shemuel, David, Shlomo, Yoash, Siman. That's the order of the paragraphs coming up. We did the Reuben, and now you already know what the topics come. We're only going to do Bnei Eli today. And we'll finish with that. Amar Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachmani, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Kol Amar Bnei Eli chatu eno ela to'eh. The children of Eli, you know the story. They're mistaken. Shnemar Sham Shnei Bnei Eli Imaron Berit Elohim Bechofni U'Pinchas Kohanim LaHashem. We don't have these words in our text in the Chumash, but apparently they were in there, but they are put in parentheses because we don't have them, and so therefore don't read them. Okay, Sabal La Kirav. This Rabbi Yonatan, who says that they didn't sin, agrees with Rav. Rav says Pinchas lo chata. That's one of the brothers. Pinchas, the son of Eli, did not sin. And how do we know? Makish chofni le Pinchas. Ma Pinchas lo chata, af chofni lo chata. And since they're mentioned together, if Pinchas didn't sin, then chofni also didn't sin. Okay, so we know about one, and then we learn from the other from him. Wait, hold on a second. Ne'elamani mekayem asher yishkibun et hanashim. Pasuk says explicitly that these people, these Kohanim, were serving in the Mishkan. They would sleep with the women who were hanging out in front of the Mishkan. Who were these women hanging out from the Mishkan? Probably they were needy. They were widows. I think when you go to the Kotel and all the people there that are asking for money, right? These are people that need help. They took advantage of these poor people, and Pasuk says that they abused them. So that doesn't sound very good. Well, no, we can interpret that differently. No, these women just gave birth, and they're bringing their offering of birds, like we read in last week's Parashat Hashavua and Tazria, and they would delay in making the sacrifice, and they're not pure. They can't go back and be with their husbands until that happens. And because they made them hang out for a night or two and not be with their husbands, the pasuk makes it as if they committed adultery. They didn't actually, they only prevented them from going back to their husbands. That's all they did. Okay, interesting reading. Gufa. Let's go analyze this further. Amarav Pinchas lo chata shenemar v'achia ben Achituv achi ai kavod ben Pinchas ben Eli HaKohen. Later on, it talks about Achia, who was serving as a Kohen, and he is from the lineage of Pinchas, the son of Eli, and he was Kohen LaHashem. Hold on. Would a pasuk later on attribute lineage of someone to Pinchas ben Eli if the pasuk thought Pinchas was an evil person? No, rather you would say that line is cut off. If Shadchet bo ba'aliyado hakatuv miyachaso, halo kevan neman yachret Hashem la'ish asher yasena la'er ve'oneh me'aholeh Yaakov magish mincha Hashem sevaot. Malachi says you cut off a line that does a sin. Im Yisrael hu lo yeh lo er, b'chamim lo oneh betamidim. Im kohen hu lo yeh lo ben magish mincha. If a person who sins then he will not have someone who will be sharp and awake among the sages. If he's a teacher, his students will not know how to answer any questions. If he's a Kohen, then his descendants will not serve as Kohanim. So here's a proof from the Torah right there. I mean, this is the kind of thing we would look for, right? What do later Pesukim say about it? And this shows Pinchas is remembered for good. So he couldn't have sinned. Hold on, we have more questions. It says in plural, they would both sleep with the woman, and that's not good. That's two people. There has to be Chofni and Pinchas. No. Yishkeben ketiv. It's not written with a vav to be plural, and so that's only from the way that we read it. But the text itself can be read as a singular. I need to take 30 seconds of your time, because if we look at the here's the original daf. Yishkebun ketiv. Yishkeban ketiv. If you go look this up in your Tanakh, you will find that we do have a vav. You see, so this derasha doesn't work, right? It is plural. There's no way to read it as a singular. Okay, but we're not the first ones to notice this. Rashi noticed this and said, this is a big problem. And I see things says shetaut gadolhu v'lo gasina na meha milta. He says, you know what? You better erase this whole paragraph from the manuscripts, because we looked at all the gisot, and we have a vav, and so this doesn't make sense. So he recommends taking it out. Tosafot asks the same question. And it says, Hashas shelanu cholek al asfarim shelanu shekatu behem ma'avirim bechen masinu. Sorry, this is not about Yishkibun, it's about the next statement. Ma'avirim. Okay, I'll read that in a second. Bechen masim, I'll read it now. Yishkibun, kedva ketiv al bnei al banai ilot tova shemua. And he says, my children, this is not good that you are what you are doing. It says banai in plural. Eli tells his children. You can read banai not as plural but as singular. He only rebuked one of his children, only Chofni, not Pinchas. All right. It says that the Bnei Eli were violating in plural, ma'avirim. Rav Huna ben Yeshua says ma'aviram. That's not the vav. It's the yud here. Right, that says there's no yud, and you can read it. One person was causing people to violate, not plural. Okay, over here, our Tanachim do not have a yud. Do have a yud. Our Tanachim do have a yud, and so it has to be read in plural. Okay. So that's what Tosafot notices. Our Sefarim have a yud, ma'avirim. V'chen masinu b'Yerushalmi b'Shimshon u'Shofet Yisrael b'Yem Shana Melmed Shehu Pelishtim. And he finds another place where also the Talmud Yerushalmi has a different version than ours. And that's where he leaves it. Tosafot just notices the question and says, all right, so sometimes it's different. Yon Hashas here, I won't read the whole thing for you, but quotes Tosafot and says, V'chen matzinu be, and lists a whole list of places, right? Dozens of places in the Talmud where it quotes a pasuk in the version that's slightly different from Masoretic text that we use. So anyway, that's an interesting thing. I do want to show you. What?
Was it one or both?
The second one, the Ma'avirim.
Okay, Ma'avirim.
Yeah. In the manuscripts, this is a chart of all the Bavli manuscripts. This line is found in all of them except for one. Here it is. See, Ketiv Ma'avirim, Amar Rav Huna ben Yeshua Ma'aviram Ketiv. It's found in all these except for one manuscript here, where it skips the line altogether. And so what happened here is, you remember Rashi said, don't gores this? So this is post Rashi, right? This scribe said that, Rashi said not to put it in, and so it's not in there, right? Okay, anyway, that's super fascinating. But we're almost done. It says in plural, Bnei Belial, they were in plural evil people. So finally, Pinchas himself did not do any of these sins. He didn't steal the meat, he didn't sleep with the woman, but he could have told his brother Chofni not to And again, we're talking about just delaying the sacrifice. So even Chofni didn't do any of these things. Chofni only didn't do the sacrifice on time, and the women couldn't go back to their husbands. And so it says as if he did these bad things. Pinchas didn't even do that, but he could have stopped it and didn't. And that's why these sins are called upon his name. And so that gets us back all the way back to the beginning, that an act of omission is just as bad as a sin of omission. So this ends the daf. So I know you're thinking, what are the rabbis doing? They're whitewashing all these sins and making it like, these terrible things. If people do this now, and abuse and things is a terrible thing. Why are we doing this? But I think we can read this in a different way altogether, which is, it's actually upping the ante on responsibility. When you call someone an evil person, of course, if they're abusing people and stealing and doing terrible things, yeah. But the rabbis are holding themselves as leaders up to an even higher standard and saying, obviously, we can't do that. But at the time of Chazal, rabbis were good people. They were decent. They treated people well, and they followed all the mitzvot. But now the thing that they wanted to emphasize to their colleagues, to their students, is that if you see a problem and you let it go, or if you give a halacha and you tell a woman, that she can't be with her husband, even though there is a heter that you could find, and you cause them not to be together, then that's as if you are in violation yourself. And so I think this is by making the sins of the previous generations lighter, but still they're described as terrible sins. I think they're speaking to themselves and their own generation, as did Ashot, saying that we are responsible for everything that happens, and that's the underlying theme that runs throughout all of these agadot. Thank you so much. Baruch Hashem, amen ve'amen.
Thank you. Fabulous.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay, tomorrow morning we'll continue at 8:45.
Okay, I'll see you Motzei Shabbat.
Okay, very good.
Okay, bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you.